So in this video, we are going to talk about the power struggle stage of relationships. We are going to start by talking about what this actually means. What is the power struggle stage if you're not already familiar? Then we will talk about 10 major signs. And at the end of this video, we'll talk about the most important things you can do if you see yourself in a power struggle. So first and foremost, power struggle stages are often in romantic relationships, well, most often referred to in romantic relationships, but we can actually have a power struggle stage as we get closer to people who are very, very close friends, relatives, family members. I mean, there can definitely be a lot of these different dynamics. And the power struggle stage is an inevitable part of every single relationship the closer you get. And the power struggle stage, in and of itself, is one of six major stages in the relationship based off of the work of Dr. Susan Johnson. And when we look at these sort of steps here, what I've done is separated out the dating and honeymoon stage. So in every relationship, we have six stages: dating stage, the vetting stage, getting to know each other stage, honeymoon stage, the actual, like, we've made a commitment, we're in the honeymoon stage. Then we go into the power struggle stage. And if we progress through that, which is actually statistically where most relationships end, we then have the stability, commitment, and bliss stages of relationships. And there's actually really important reasons why we are supposed to be in the power struggle stage. And I don't know if you've ever heard somebody say they're afraid of their own feelings. I'm afraid of all my feelings. My feelings are really growing. It scares me. Well, feelings actually can be a representation of us building a true attachment. And I think it's really important to realize that when we go from the dating and honeymoon stage into power struggle, part of what's inevitably happening is we're allowing the attachment to deepen. What I mean by this is it's easy to be on your best behavior during dating and honeymoon stage, to say all the right things, to impress the person you're dating or seeing. But as we move into deepening the connection and deepening the attachment we have to somebody, well, we start dropping the mask, right? We start sharing our inner world more. We allow people to see our inner fears, our flaws more often. We open a little bit up more and become more vulnerable. But at the same time, the deeper the attachment that is made, the more our attachment style and our different core wounds and fears and potentially painful patterns can be activated or triggered. And so, some signs that you're most likely going to see when you're actually in the power struggle stage is number one, you feel more emotional. And this can be that smaller things bother you a little bit more. Or number two, that your attachment style patterns are much more activated. So, in the power struggle stage, if you have abandonment wounds, they're going to be magnified. If you have being trapped wounds, those will be magnified. If you have betrayal wounds, those will be magnified. All the different things that may really affect us as a specific attachment style are going to turn up. The emotions that you feel, the fears that you have, the wounds that are pre-existing, all these different things will essentially grow. And again, we can make this argument here that this is, as much about how much we care about the person, as much as it's also about our attachment style being activated. Number three, you're likely going to see arguing take place more often, right? Because part of what's happening is when we let people in, we have to work stuff out. Like, we're all uniquely programmed in such different ways, and we have different needs and expectations. And part of what happens in the power struggle stage is we're merging our inner world with somebody, with their inner world, right? These like invisible walls between us are coming down. But that part is like a chemical reaction. It can get messy, right? It can get chaotic. And so, while it's sort of a good thing that these things are happening, if we don't execute the power struggle stage effectively, we're going to find ourselves falling into a lot more frustration. And as I mentioned earlier, statistically, the power struggle stage is where most relationships actually end. So keep in mind, at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to do in the power struggle stage, but also we actually have courses about each of the attachment styles in each of the six stages of relationships, kind of like a roadmap that helps you navigate your wounds, your fears, how to deal with them, but also understand your partners based on their attachment style. So if you want to check that out for free, just for a limited time for 14 days, that link is down below that will give you free access to the whole platform. And you can check out all of those six stages of relationships per attachment style courses. So you'll also see, natural things. Number three, you're going to see that we tend to argue more, as I mentioned. But number four, we tend to be more honest. We actually share things that are coming up for us more often, or our fears or our concerns. So there's this opportunity. Like, you can think of the power struggle stage as being a crisis, but also an opportunity. And I'll talk again about the end of like how we can turn this into a positive thing. You may find number 5 that you feel irritated more often, number 6 that you feel more resentful. Number 7, you may question the relationship more in the power struggle stage. In fact, all attachment styles may do just that. But that doesn't mean that the relationship is up for question, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that because you're like thinking about things and wondering, like, is this going to work, that you're like, I'm about to leave tomorrow, right? Just because we are questioning, it's our mind naturally trying to kind of protect itself and move through this stage. Also, you may find yourself with different coping mechanisms turned up in the power struggle stage. So if you socialize as a way of coping, that may be happening with you all the time. If you binge watch television when you're coping, you might be doing more of that. Like we'll actually have these individual coping mechanisms arise more often. And we may also find ourselves feeling a lot more seen. I think I said vulnerable at the beginning. So I think my numbering here is messed up where we were actually a point ahead before, but we'll feel more seen, but sometimes in a confronting way. Okay. So from the top, we'll just rifle these off. So more emotional, more vulnerable, attachment style patterns being activated, arguing more, being more honest, irritated, resentful, doubtful more often, coping mechanisms turned up, and feeling more seen. So, how do we move through this, right? Because you can kind of see in here, like we're being more honest, we feel more seen, we're getting more comfortable. All these different things are kind of like an opportunity as much as we're in crisis, where we're arguing more and we're irritated more and we're questioning things. Well, essentially, the rites of passage necessary to move out of the power struggle stage and into the stability stage is we have to learn to hash out arguments and actually resolve them by communicating about our feelings and needs and validating one another's perspectives. Okay. So let's say, for example, that somebody comes to you and they say, you don't call me enough. We can't say your expectations are too high. We have to come to understand the person and we have to practice acceptance and vulnerability in that process. So we may say, for example, hey, I see that that's frustrating for you. I can see where you're coming from. What do you need? Like, what's your actual cadence of how often you want me to call you? And if they say every day, we can't just say, okay, and try to, if your truth isn't that you want to talk on the phone every day, you have to share your truth. Maybe your truth is, I want to talk on the phone max twice a week. And then we can come up with a stretch, right? We can come up with a compromise. Okay, 7 days, 2 days, averaging that out. Okay, we speak on the phone 4 days a week, things are not always so cut and dry and so simple that way. But the vast majority of things, when we just communicate them, get resolved. When we communicate them from a place of curiosity with one another's feelings and perspectives, when we talk about needs, and we can make those compromises when all the cards are out on the table. Where people go the most wrong in the power struggle stage is they don't lay it all out there. They don't put their cards all out on the table. They hold information back, whether they're even realizing that they're doing this or not. And they hope that they can hold information back to like make the conflict go away. The conflict will not go away unless you're transparent. The conflict will not go away unless you can truly share your inner world with your partner's inner world and then talk about how to make compromises. And sometimes it's not just like averaging out the days, right? Sometimes it's things like somebody says, okay, I want to talk on the phone 7 days. Somebody says 2, and you say, look, I can do 3 max. And what I can do is I can be more reassuring in the meantime. I can be more reassuring over text messages or send a voice note or, make sure that I'm more expressive about how I feel. Because if somebody it's like, what were you looking for through the more phone calls? Oh, reassurance, maybe, reassurance that I care. Okay, so I can give that to you in different ways. So we can be creative once we understand like what the actual underlying needs are. And I do have like a lot more information on that. I feel like that's a whole separate topic right now. But I have that in those courses I mentioned. But you can also look at it this way. Like if somebody needs something and you're having a hard time compromising, what's the underlying reason they actually need that thing? And that's always where you're going to be able to find some kind of healthy compromise if you're willing to look. So again, like the example, okay, more phone calls. Let's pretend I hate talking on the phone. Someone's saying that to me. I might say, look, I can do twice a week, but I really don't like the phone. But what is the reason that you need more time on the phone? And the person might say, well, because it makes me feel connected to you. It makes me feel like reassured and confident in our relationship. Okay, so can I give you reassurance and confidence in our relationship instead by like actually expressing in more reassuring ways over text or sending you nice voice notes or, reassuring you when we're together more often? And maybe the compromise is we go from, 2 calls a week to 3, but then I'm more reassuring in the conversations as a whole, or stay at 2, but be more reassuring in other ways. And so when we look for those underlying needs, you will find that compromise is always possible if both parties are actually willing to look. So major stages of the power struggle stage, or major signs of the power struggle stage, really important things to do, ways of communicating and compromising. And when we move the needle out of the power struggle stage, the coolest part of it is that we go from this kind of more conditionally based love, like attraction, infatuation based love, and we actually go into more unconditionally based love because we're merging our inner world with another person's. We're opening up, we're getting to understand each other and see and hear one another in a much more profound way. And that grows us, and it grows the relationship we have with somebody else. So crisis, but also a big opportunity. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for stopping by, for watching. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing if you're enjoying this channel. I would really appreciate it. And if you have more questions about the power struggle stage, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you want to see more power struggle stage content, also please hit the like button. And the more videos that are liked more often, those are your votes to me. So I'm going to create more content about those different things. So let me know with that. And I really appreciate you stopping by and can't wait to see you in future videos.